See, the trouble is we've been married so long that I can't remember anything that happened back in the old days.
We didn't really do anything fun, did we?
No, we didn't do anything fun. How about that?
Well, okay, I'll start over. I am Anna Haverland, and I was born in Denmark, and when I was 12 years old, I arrived in Waimea, North Dakota. And no one there spoke any Danish, and my family and I, we did not know English. And they started us in school right away. I had 3 sisters. There were 4 of us that came at that time. Started us out in the 1st grade. And we kind of, in a few weeks, we learned a few things. And in about a month or so, we were back up in our regular grades. And we kind of had to learn the American ways. And when I was in high school, I was babysitting for Wayne's aunt and uncle. They lived in the Colfax area where we live now. And that's how I met Wayne. He seemed to come and visit real often when I was there. Okay.
Interesting. Although you can stay off the hook for another few minutes, because I was going to ask, do you know why you and your family moved?
Yes. My mother's uncle had emigrated in 1889, and in 1949 it had been 60 years, and he was back in Denmark for a visit. His sister was my grandmother that lived close to us, and we lived near there, and my father had passed away in 1945, a few years before that, so it was my mother and her children there. And he said, would you like to move to the United States and live on the farm with him? He was living there. His wife had passed away. He was in his 80s at the time, and he had a son that they were living there. I think he'd like to get a housekeeper. And anyway, and she said yes. There had been other family members that had immigrated in years past, so it wasn't something unfamiliar to her. And before she was married, she was a teacher and had a tiny bit of English. And there had been visitors, so it wasn't that strange. So that's kind of how we happened to come to North Dakota.
Okay. And you were 12 at the time, so you were there all through the war.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Denmark was occupied, but it was not bombed like some of the other countries like Poland and Netherlands. The story that I remember hearing was that Hitler didn't want to do that to Denmark. He wanted to keep that as his vacation spot for after the war. But we did have the soldiers there. I have seen the Nazi soldiers, parading around. We lived in the country, so we did not see anything really bad. We had family living in Copenhagen, and my cousin there said he saw someone being shot. If you didn't follow the rules, you were not supposed to have lights on, and you couldn't do this and you couldn't do that, and it was quite severe that way. But did not see anything bad.
Okay. Now, to switch over to you.
This should all be just. You're not gonna.
Well,
use any of
that's
that.
why I said it's not for the wedding video proper.
No.
It's its own sort of thing, and it's just for the family.
Okay.
That's why, and it's. I kind of think of it in terms of, my parents are in their 70s now, and my children are pretty young, and never mind the kids who aren't here yet kind of thing. And it's just, sometimes it's a little piece of family history. It's a little bit of personality. So it's just kind of nice, even just 5 minutes
Yeah, she had a lot to talk about, you know. She did, her life changed completely.
It was interesting. But talk about doing that. We should have had that for your Aunt Betty. She knew stories and she loved to tell stories, but of course they're all gone because we don't have them.
Yeah, but I can't remember any of that stuff she talked about.
That's why it should have been videoed.
She talked about, my aunt talked about how, you know, the people had to live back in the days where there was no money and everything was
In the 30s.
made, income was made with livestock and milking cows and feeding chickens and everything, you know, so that's the way they survived for 20, 30 years. And I was pretty young, I missed out most of that, but anyway. So my stories ain't,
But
I don't have any stories.
But
I bet you do.
we are on his grandfather's farm, and we have like 5 generations of Haverlands that are farming now. We have grandsons.
So you still live out at the farm?
We still live on the farm. Yes.
And we have 3 sons that do the farming. Now we have 2 grandsons that graduated from college, NDSU. Well, one was NDSU and one was Wahpeton. So anyway, we got 2 graduated kids from college, and they're really good, smart kids, and I guess I shouldn't talk like that. I'm proud of them.
We're
You
very
can talk however you want.
we're very proud of them. Yes.
That's when I say that about how I edit. When I go back and see everything in post, in the edit, if I think something doesn't come across quite right,
Then
then it will be gone. Don't worry.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
That
you.
has happened once or twice before.
yeah.
Thank you.
Where there was actually bride and groom, and the groomman made a joke, and it was kind of a running joke with the bride and groom, and I was there the whole day. I thought it was funny,
Yeah.
and then I showed it to somebody, and he's like, "No." Comes across kind of like a jerk.
Scratch that out.
Yes.
So why don't you introduce yourself?
Well,
Introduce yourself.
hmm?
Did you hear what he asked you to do?
No.
Okay, he doesn't hear very well.
Okay, I asked you to introduce yourself.
Oh, okay, well, I was born in the 30s, and there was no income for 5 years, 6 years in the 30s. But we lived well. We had livestock and chickens and everything, so we lived well. My mom would can foods and meat and everything, you know, because we had animals we could butcher. So we lived well, considering the times. And then I started school. I rode horseback to school, 3 miles, and it was cold in the winter. But my dad would take me on the team and horses too, because the roads were all blocked in snow. There was no snow or no snow removal equipment, you know, in the back in the 30s, 1938, 39, 40. It was, you were on your own, you know, and so then my mom got sick. She had
Rheumatic fever.
yeah, rheumatic fever, and so my dad took her. She had problem with her joints and everything. She couldn't. The cold weather was terrible for her. So about 42 or 3, I suppose, he took her to Phoenix for a month and kind of revitalized her body. And I went and stayed with my uncle and aunt. Anyway, she improved quite a bit. He hired somebody to feed the cattle and do the chores while he was gone, so it worked out. Anyway, they were only gone for a month or so, and I stayed with my aunt and uncle. But I guess,
How far was it to school?
how far?
Yeah, you said you had to ride horseback.
Yeah, 2.5 miles. And the snowbanks were deep in them days, and
I believe it.
Some years, I'm sure.
all the track on the road was a team and a sleigh. That's the way people traveled all winter long. And there was no, there wasn't no road graded up anyway. It was the same level as the field actually. So it was pretty primitive. Anyway.
So let's see. Obviously, you were on the farm, and that's what you grew up doing.
Yep.
Did you get to do anything fun? Like what did you?
Well, I guess.
Like hobbies.
Nah, I was a member of the 4-H club, and I had a critter that I would tame down and take him to a show, you know, and stuff. I did that for a couple, 3 years. But
What kind of critter?
a
What kind of critter?
cow, a steer, a Hereford steer.
A little calf.
Anyway, it wasn't a cat.
Calf. A
Well,
little calf.
it was a yearling.
Oh.
It was a good sized one, so, you know. Anyway, we'd go to a show in the fall in Wahpeton. And I got second place a couple times. But I got busy on the farm running tractor, and my dad spent a lot of time in the house with my mom, so he didn't have the easy jobs I could get out on the tractor, you know. So, and that worked out fine. I was happy with that. But when it was time for me to go to high school, I never went to high school. I just stayed home and worked. Anyway, I think I could have worked it out, you know. But I was so used to being working on the farm that it wasn't a big deal with me that I couldn't go to high school. That didn't bother me any.
It was because you didn't want to.
But
That's what I heard. I'm sorry, you have to do a lot of editing.
anyway, then I met this gal here. Went to my uncle's birthday party, and my uncle and this guy that brought her over here was friends. So this guy brought these 3 girls in to this birthday party, so I got to meet her. And I guess we went out a few times. She lived 20 miles away, so I had to drive 20-some miles.
That was a long ways.
Anyway,
Not at 12 years old.
anyway, that's how we got together. And
Do you know? So this wouldn't have been too long. You were teenagers.
yeah, we were both teenagers at the
Do
time.
you know what year it was that you met?
Oh my.
It was probably 1950.
Oh, so you haven't been in the U.S. very long at all.
Oh no, in fact, it could have even been 40. It could have been that same spring that we came. Gordon's
No,
birthday was in May,
I think it was
wasn't
the next spring.
the next one?
Yeah,
Okay. So that would have been 1950.
yeah.
Yeah, we'd have had 1 year. Well, we didn't. I didn't even see him that time. No, it wasn't until I think I was, because then it was 6th grade, and by the time I was in high school, I think I was a freshman, maybe. Well, Gordy was born.
You must have been in high school when we were.
Yes, when I was up there babysitting in the summer. Yes.
Anyway, I guess we went together for what, 3 years, 4 years before we got married?
Sort of, yeah. Sometimes you'd show up. Yes, no.
I don't know.
We didn't really spend a lot of time together, did we? You would come down. We'd go to Wahpeton to a movie. Oh, remember the time the tornado hit the Walcott area?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was 50? Wasn't it?
No, it would have been.
49?
No, it would have been in 55.
Oh, am I off that far?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were driving home from Wahpeton, and on the radio it said the tornado had taken the whole town of Walcott, and he lived about 4 miles south of Walcott.
Well,
But anyway, then you took me home, and then you went back up, and then the National Guard were there blocking the road for you, but you knew a back way so you could get to your house, but it was not in town. It was several farms, west of there, and it was quite a bad one.
But my grandpa and grandma on my mother's side lived in Walcott.
They did, yeah.
But the thing on the radio wasn't accurate. It didn't. The storm didn't even hit the town of Walcott.
No.
It was 2 miles south, where it went by the south side of the town.
And it was 2 years later, the big one here in Fargo, 57.
So that's about all the
That's a
excitement I've had in my life, except work every day. Now I've been doing it so long, my neck muscles are so bad I can't hardly turn my head. I shouldn't put that on here. I better erase that.
Oh, this is really weird. This is crazy. We don't have any exciting stories to tell. Nothing much.
Okay. Well, it was.
Trying to think. Family stories. We don't really have family stories, do we?
Nothing to embarrass the kids?
No, well, no. We have a granddaughter that's has been married a couple of years. She has a new baby boy. This
We're waiting for
past
Lindsay
winter.
now. Don't say that. We will be.
So
No,
anyway,
we will tell about this.
that's about all the excitement we know.
We have 9 grandchildren, all living within 3 miles of us. All three of the sons are farmers, living close, and our school is 4 miles away, and they all went to the same school, to Richland High School. And I got to rock every one of the babies and grandkids, all 9 of them. They were wonderful kids. Yes, I can tell stories about them. And Lindsay is the best. I say that all the time to every one of them. But one year, her mom, Nancy, was teaching kindergarten full-time. She subbed for many, many years. And so Megan had just started school, and Jared and Lindsay spent every day with us. And we had lots of fun. One of them was it was in the spring. There was a lot of water in the ditches and stuff. And they were probably it must have been 3 and maybe just 4, something like that age. So they were just really a lot of fun. And so we got sticks and we pretended we were fishing. And we watched a lot of kids' videos, and there was one about about the Princess and the Goblin. Lindsay and I mentioned that this morning. We played in the trees and we bought the goblins and the princess and stuff. We just had so much fun. We spent, like every day then there on the farm. And then her dad was there too working, and so he would come in for meals and things. I really enjoyed that. Otherwise it was just babysitting, different times. But I did all of them.
It's fantastic.
Very special.
Being on the farm back in the old days was so primitive, You hardly ever went any place, You had an old model, a Ford car, and, you never got to Fargo maybe more than twice a year at the most, at Christmas time to do some shopping, But, you spent time with a neighbor or something, probably in the wintertime they'd play cards, go play whist or something. And they didn't have no way to go except with a team and sled, So it was pretty hard to get excited about going any place, I suppose. But they did. They would get together and play cards. Crazy stuff. I mean, it was just primitive as heck.
Was that the year before we were married, or the year we got married that I went with you guys and with your folks? And we went to Heckner's place and kind of checked things out, and there were a couple places near next to them.
Well,
and talked Wayne's dad into buying a lake place.
My dad had a good friend that was a real estate, or a guy that
Insurance man.
sold insurance, car insurance and all kinds of insurance. Anyway, he had this cabin at the Melissa Lake, and he was getting old and he couldn't hardly keep it up anymore, him and his wife, so he offered my dad a chance to buy the cabin.
But Wayne, that was years and years later. We bought our first one in 1957, wasn't it? 57?
Yeah.
Or 56. Anyway, so we had that for many years until they wanted to retire.
Well, that's the one I'm talking about.
Well, but that's not his. That was Gus's cottage.
Well,
That was in the
Gus
70s.
owned it.
No, he didn't own that one. That was
Okay,
But
I'll shut up.
We had, since the 50s, we've had this place, and in Wayne's family on the farm, they did not believe in working on Sunday. So we always had Sundays to go to the lake. And many times back when Mike and his two little brothers were young, we would be combining late Saturday night, but we would pack up afterwards and drive to the lake and stay there. And the farmers would sit in the shade, and us women, we would fix food and stuff, but that's not true, but it's sort of true. But we did this for many years. And then when the boys got to be teenagers, they'd bring friends down, and then we did get the one next door. It was a little bit bigger, so that by that time we had a little bit more room. But then when the boys got married, they'd bring their wives, and then pretty soon the babies, and we'd put bunks here and there. We just piled up and we were like camping out. And Steve and Stacy got a camper, but we were like 17 people every weekend. And Grandma May would come too. That would be 8, and we were 18 then. And we did this for years, and we just the kids just would come, and did this for years, all of us together. And finally, when Megan, the oldest granddaughter, she graduated from India school, and she was working for Heritage Homes and I'm pretty sure that was the reason. And so the sons and my daughter-in-laws, they worked together and they got a plan for a new place. We had this other one that was so old and so dilapidated, it was terrible. And so we got this plan, and we would, every year for many years, we would close up, drain the water and close up everything, take everything home. And anyway, we did that on a Labor Day one year, and then in the spring, you know, Memorial Day, we usually come back, but anyway, this one winter, we had a brand new place to go. We never missed any time between Labor Day and Memorial Day. We had the new place, and now we have a big old lake home that we all fit in. And so we just, the kids would, all the cousins would spend time together, and it was just, we had a lot of fun. And now they're all kind of older, and the boys, they get these new types of water skis and stuff like that. In the old days, Grandpa would take everybody fishing, not you, but your dad would take the boys fishing. We don't fish anymore, we just have.
I never had
time.
time.
No, you didn't have time. You had to spend.
That lake business and a farmer isn't a good program.
Well, we had our weekends, we had our Sundays. It was just amazing. So Lindsay could probably tell us more about how much fun they had, but you know, it's just been kind of a miracle that we all spend so much time together.